Hey, you watching right now, have you liked? Have you commented? Have you subscribed? Have you shared? If not, take a moment and do so, because that lets us know that you're loving what we do and helping us expand our community. So go ahead, do it right now. We'll wait. Well, Crystal, guess what time it is?
Is it time for the Metaphysical Corner? Corner. Oh, yay, my favorite part of the pop.
Metaphysical Corner. It's mine too. I always look forward to this segment. And today, let's talk about altars, what they are, how to set them up, how to use them.
Okay. I love this because I love, first of all, I love design. I love having very intentional, sacred spaces, but I'm not always really good at it intuitively. Like if you were to come to my house, I don't know if you know, like every single wall is white. It's like there's hardly any art up because I'm so intentional. I don't want to just slap up art around my house. Yeah. And so altars are very similar to me. Like I'm very, very intentional about where I put an altar, like in my house. Like, is there a specific like portal in my house? Is there a ley line or is there a corner that is kind of projecting out into the rest of the space that I want to calibrate to a certain vibration? So I think altars are really powerful, actually. I think they're energetic hubs that we can create with our intention. And you don't need to have a whole lot of design experiences. All you have to have is that intention and a few little artifacts to kind of amplify the energy. So let's start with you. Do you have an altar?
I do. Sometimes I have multiples. And to me, if you want to really break it down, it's really just like a vision board, right? In many ways. And it's a tool for honoring and manifestation. So it's like a vision board. But yes, I have several, under the S-bats and the Sabbats and the moons. And, for my mom, when it's around her birthday. Yeah, so I have them. Love them. They really are a sacred space. And I'm so excited that we're going to talk about them because I think it's something that anybody can create in their home, and it will have such a meaning, and it will have a vibration, and it will really help you focus and center and manifest and just enjoy your best life. I love altars. I'm so excited.
Oh, well, awesome. So the first thing I think about with an altar is like, where am I going to put it? Because I don't want to put an altar in a space in my house where there's too much traffic. We've got people running through. I've got little kids that are touching things, touching my precious artifacts on my altar. May it never be. So how do you choose a location for you?
If I'm going to have, my main altar that's there every day that doesn't change much. I have a lot of the same things and I add and take away, but that one special place, generally it's kind of in my meditation space because that is a place that is just for me. It's where I go to have quiet contemplation, where I go, and meditating for me isn't always just because I have a purpose. Sometimes it literally is just sitting and just sort of blissing out and just really pulling myself back. So I like my altar to be in that space because that is where I go to do all of my workings. So, and that happens to be in a sort of alcove off of the master bedroom, the primary bedroom. And that's it. Now, for certain holidays and things, I have sort of a traveling one that I'll put maybe in my breakfast nook or in another room, or even I've done some outside because it just depends on, what I'm using it for. But my main one is always in my sacred space.
Oh, I love that you said outside because there are like certain spots on my property that I just love to go out and like leave little pieces of crystal or little pieces of like sweets or food, biodegradable, of course.
Yeah.
Because I just want to honor like the nature elementals. I want to honor Gaia. There's this place on my property that I just want it to be the focal point of that intention. So you can do it indoors and you can do it outdoors, and you can travel with an altar too. Just like wrap up your little items in a sacred cloth and take it with you wherever you go. And as soon as you get into your hotel room, you unwrap it, you set it out. It's lovely, but watch out so that the maid doesn't do anything with it, because I don't like anybody to touch my altar.
No, and that is altar. A very important thing. I have never believed no one should touch your altar. That is your sacred space. That is where you are raising your personal energy, your power, it's just so for you and your honoring and reverence for spirits and, ancestors and earth and all of that. So no one should touch it. But I like the idea to travel because when you go places, you're in a space that is shared by so many other people. I'm saging hotel rooms. I just am. And and I have my Palo Santo spray. I mean, I'm all over because that is other people's energy.
Right.
And I want to, and I, right wherever I'm going to put my stuff up, I'm cleansing that area and putting some things up. And I may just say no housekeeping today. And I, just drop some sheets off. I'll change it myself because I don't want people messing with my stuff. And I will know if they've touched my, I'll know.
Well, I have a few rules for creating an altar, and I'll start with the rules, and then we'll talk about like things that you can put on your altar that are very highly charged and high vibration. Okay. The first rule of an altar for me is to keep it clean, and this is, I think you should keep your home clean too. I think that chaotic energy that is caused by clutter, like that actually can attract lower energies, lower entities.
100%.
Like, I don't know if you've ever been in a hoarder house. I kind of have been in some borderline hoarder houses, and those houses actually have entities or uhani noho, like little spirits that are attracted to the chaos. And so your home should be decluttered, your home should be clean, and your altar should also be clean. So pick a table, pick a piece of furniture that you'll be able to just keep it in a clean spot and also keep the altar clean. I also recommend when you choose whatever piece of furniture, you choose your corner, your alcove that you then smudge. Smudge the actual physical altar and also smudge the area just to clean off any energy that we don't want on the altar, because that is a dedicated space for a purpose and an intention. Then comes the intention. Like, have an intention for an altar. You can have altars that just contain high vibration items. These are your favorite things that then project out that vibration into your space. Or you can have dedicated altars dedicated to saints. Like you said, dedicated to your mom, dedicated to a festival or to a celebration. You just know what the intention is, though, with your particular altar, and even say a prayer like, I am dedicating this altar to this person, this being, this thing, this energy, and make a prayer out of it or a fiat to just add that extra layer of intention.
Yes.
And I also say, before you start slapping things on your altar, ask spirit, especially if you're working with a specific being. Like if you're working with an angel, or if you're working with angels and this is your angel altar, then ask the angels, like, what are the best items for me to put on this particular altar so that I can connect more deeply with you, so that it facilitates my communion and my relationship with you.
It's like a partnership, really.
Absolutely. And if you ask, they will answer. If you're listening, You got to pay attention, but you
got to listen, because it's not even going to be auditory. Right. It could be a commercial and you just see an image and it sticks with you. Right. It could be flipping through a magazine, flipping through your phone. Things will jump out at you. That's where you have to pay attention. And that's why you should keep a journal.
You should keep a journal.
So you should write these things down. Absolutely. And you will get those messages, and that will help you set up your altar. That's fascinating. And I love it. It's true.
Yes, it is true. And, certain angels, for example, vibrate or resonate with certain crystals and different essences and different colors. So if you're working with Archangel Michael, then you might want to get Archangel Michael's crystal and his essence and have some of that gold and that blue or that royal purple around or on your altar. But ask and see what they can recommend that will help to facilitate that experience. And then before you use your altar for the first time, smudge it again. Now, this is just, and I would say to make a practice of smudging, every couple of weeks or every month or so, definitely every season. And when you smudge the first time, you want to you can take some incense, you can take Palo Santo, you can take sage, and just honor the four corners of the altar, north, south, east, west, but also the four corners in your space and in your room. And you can even call in the corners or the energy representing the corners to be present in the altar space, but kind of intentionally smudge before the first time you use it. Even though you've already smudged it when you dedicated the altar and you chose the altar, do it again before you do the work, or do it again before you sit before it and do whatever.
Absolutely.
Maybe you're going to channel, maybe you're going to meditate, or maybe you're just going to be present. but smudge it. So those are just
I
some.
smudge weekly.
Do you? You smudge your altar weekly? Okay.
I do. Well, I work outside the home. I do come in contact with people. I am like a sponge. I suck everybody's energy
You're
in.
a little empath.
So I do a little grounding ritual before I even come in the house because I don't like to bring it in. But you never know. So I sage weekly all over the house, but especially my sacred space. And generally, before I use it every time, I go in and I smudge and I say a little prayer, or I just sit, and have a moment, because I just feel like you want to set yourself up for the most success when you're doing it, and the purest high vibrational energy you can have in it, around it, and yourself. Smudge yourself. Please, absolutely do.
Smudge the field, smudge the aura.
Yes, please do. And it really creates the most amazing vibration, and you're setting yourself up for success.
Yes, you are.
Totally. Look, I'm so bright now. I'm
bright.
vibrating. The sun.
You are the altar. Well, so after you do all of that, and you've got some items and some ideas from your emissaries and your guides on what you can put on the altar, now it's about putting that stuff on the altar. So in addition to whatever spirit recommends to you, there are just a few things that you might want to go to in order to place upon your altar, starting with crystals. Oh my God. First of all, that's my name. My name is Crystal. My mother knew I would love crystals. And if we could pan around this whole space, you would see tons and tons and tons of crystals. And so select a crystal intentionally, like be thoughtful about which one you're going to be placing on the altar. If that altar is dedicated to your spiritual work, say you're a channel, then maybe you want to put a Lemurian quartz or a clear quartz on your altar, because that facilitates the process of your channeling. Or maybe there's a crystal that represents the guides that you work with. Or if this is an altar dedicated to your relationship and to love, maybe you put some rose quartz or some different types of beautiful crystals on your altar. Also, candles. Now, of course, you have little light sources, but colored candles, because the color of the candle is meaningful. Do you put candles on your altar? Like, what do you think?
Oh, absolutely. On my basic altar, it's always white. Now, if I decide, my basic altar is a multifunctional altar. It's there every day, raising high vibrations, because that's what it does. However, if I want to then, let's say I want to go and do some really deep channeling work, I will days ahead kind of start preparing the altar. I will maybe take out the white candles and put in some, other candles, getting it aligned with the purpose and adding in the crystals and sort of rededicating that space for the work that I'm going to do. Because I know some people that have altars all over their home for different works. I have a decent sized home, but it's not 10,000 square feet. So I want my main altar to be in that one space where I go to do most of my work. But I like to it's a multi-purpose, and then you just take out, add in as you need for the work that you're going to do, and then rededicate your space.
I love that. Well, beyond candles and crystals, we also have artwork, and statues. I don't know if you can see, well, if you're on YouTube, you can kind of see what I'm pointing at. That's actually Mother Mary, who I just love the nurturing energy of Mary. And over here, up there, that's Ganesha. You can't really see him. I've also got right here, pointing right there.
Not where you pointed, though.
I think that's Joseph. That's Joseph. I've also got Francis. I've got all kinds of different pieces of art that represent energies that are compatible.
And you got someone holding your candle.
Yes, I do. I've got Buddha right there. I've got little symbols and little pieces of artwork that represent energetic principles or spiritual principles that are definitely a match for my altar. And in fact, this entire case, this bookcase right here is so intentional. Each little space, little cubby hole is dedicated to a specific property and an energy. And there's color that, up here with Ganesha, you've got a lot of orange and yellow, and you've got orange crystals, and a red candle right there. Everything kind of coordinates so that each section of this bookcase is like a mini altar, which you can do as well.
Absolutely.
So you also mentioned pictures, maybe of your mama, or pictures of ancestors, pictures of loved ones, pictures of saints. Do you use those on your altar?
Oh, absolutely. If I decide that I'm going to work with an archangel, Well, I don't know all of their symbols off by heart, but Google is such a great resource. You can always Google what you need. If you don't know a particular crystal that resonates with whatever you're trying to do, look it up. You'll find it and then get it, right? So I will get an image. Sometimes I have been known to print, because I'm not a great artist, but I will find that if you draw it yourself, it doesn't have to be perfect, as close as possible, but the intention and the energy that you're putting into your own artwork means more than you will know. I mean, now I'm telling you, you do know, but draw it, doodle it, make it pretty, make it elaborate, make it ornate, do it. That you are creating a very powerful sigil and a symbol for whatever you're trying to do. So it doesn't matter if you're an artist or not. I am no artist. I did not get that gene and I'm okay with it, but I doodle myself. But I will get as much imagery that will help me focus, that will help draw in that energy and maintain that vibration.
Wonderful. Well, a few other items that I would probably consider putting on an altar. First of all, living things, because of course, Gaia energy, earth energy, that holds the vibration of the archangelic. I cannot overstate like how divine earth energy actually is. So bringing in fresh flowers or foliage that corresponds to your celebrations, flowers, plants, even a water feature, like having that running water is also something that you can consider putting on your altar. I also love to put my spiritual tools on an altar. As soon as I know that this altar is high frequency, high vibe, it's been dedicated, and I've collaborated with my emissaries, like it is ready to go, then I will put my tools on there. My oracle cards, maybe my pendulum, some of my partners that I work in with channeling, to include stones, my tuning forks, all the things that I use in the work that I do. I will place them on an altar because what it does is it keeps it calibrated or a match for the frequency of the altar. So anytime I then go and get my oracle cards, they're already primed. They're already connected to whatever it is that I'm doing, and my intuition and the information is going to be better because of it. What are some additional things that you place on your altar?
I usually get a piece of cloth, and generally on the my typical everyday altar, it's white, because I tried, white's a very purifying, very powerful energy. So I try to do it that way, but change it out for whatever work that I'm doing. Incense, I usually keep a bowl with some sea salt. Pink salt usually is what I love pink salt. So I like to keep that around. I usually have a crystal chalice I use spring water because I think that's so straight from the earth. It's got minerals and just of the earth. So I keep that around. I do keep an athame because, for directional. And then I keep a little candle snuffer and extinguisher to put out. I don't like to blow out a candle. I don't like to pinch out a candle. I like to extinguish it. As you said, I do keep representations of gods, goddesses, archangels, whatever you're trying to work with, and natural objects, stones from outside, regular crystals, whatever, things of the earth, fresh flowers. I will say though, if there are flowers and I'm cutting them, I'm thanking them for their sacrifice to help, my altar and make things more beautiful. And then sometimes I have been known to keep a little crystal ball on there. I do keep a pendulum as well, just depending, but I do keep my cards there as well because, and I keep a journal that's just specifically for that purpose there. So my journal, my pen, it's all high vibrational. So I may be getting channeled information. My book, my pen, it's already vibrating high enough. I'm just going to receive that good information.
Oh, I love it. You can have...
And food. I do have food.
You do? Okay,
I
so...
do. Sometimes I'll Google, if I know now, but,
So this is like as an offering that you're offering to somebody?
Okay. Same thing. The flowers are an offering as well. But if if you're going to a god or goddess and there is something that they like, make that as an like Hecate. She loves keys. So, and the dogs, the 3-headed dogs. So representation. So, but I throw keys there. If I'm gonna work with that kind of energy.
Well, but if you're putting food, how long do you leave it there? Because it's gonna go bad.
Yeah, it's gonna go bad.
Do?
I usually put it there when I'm going to work, and then when I'm done and I close off, I leave it there just for the evening. because I've done my thing. I thank you, but I'm not going to, yank it back right away. I'm keeping it there. Putting it there is the intent. That is the offering, and it is accepted. But I, for some reason, feel like I don't want to end the work that I'm doing and walk away with it. I feel like because you're still resonating in that energy, so I just leave it there for the night. And then when I get up in the morning, I thank it, thank everything, and I take it away at that point. You don't have to. That's just me.
Okay.
But I would keep it there for a little bit afterwards, just to let it linger, let that energy, let it do its thing. But I'm just real weird about yanking it away. Like,
right.
Okay, thank you. I'm done now. Here we go. Take it away.
Right.
And then generally with the food, I don't put it down the trash compactor or throw it in the trash. I usually throw it out into the woods so the animals.
So then you don't want to be putting like Twinkies and Cheetos on your altar because it's not necessarily good for the environment. You want to be putting like organic, yummy things that the birds can eat and the squirrels can eat as well when you put it outside,
Absolutely.
Right? No GMOs.
Absolutely.
No GMOs.
Yeah, no. You want it to be as good as for all as you can. So It should be something organic. And but listen, if all you have is a Twinkie, by all means, use the Twinkie.
I will. Can you eat it afterwards? When you're done,
I never partake of that. That I give.
Right.
So it is not for me.
Correct. Good.
I just feel like
you're right.
That there's like bad juju associated with giving an offering but taking it back for yourself.
It's like the priest Eli in the Old Testament. I think it's the book of Samuel. He had sons, and people would come to the sanctuary, and they would bring their offerings of food and money, and then when they left, the sons would come in and they would eat it all, and like if it were animals, they'd cook it up and sin. And it was Samuel,
absolutely.
The prophet Samuel, as a child, who came and said, and this is a paraphrase, God's gonna cut you down because of what your sons are doing. You don't eat the offering. And ultimately, that is exactly what happened. And Samuel arose to prominence, but that is besides the point. Yeah, we don't eat the offering. We move it along in the circle of life and let the birds eat it and the squirrels eat it and everything else.
Now, if you're going to do something and you're working with money and you're putting a representation of money on your altar, I would recommend giving that away. If you're offering it forth, don't put it back in your wallet. Please give it to someone who needs it.
Same
many
principle,
times
really. Yeah.
And if you're in traffic and someone is homeless and they need a little money, give them the few dollars. That's so good energetically, giving to others and not expecting anything back. But if you are working for money or with money and you are using it on your altar, please give that away. Please don't put that back in your wallet.
Interesting. Okay, good to know.
And don't give it to your spouse that's only going to give it back to you.
Right.
Or your
Same
boyfriend,
thing.
girlfriend. Please give it away.
You
know what I mean? Yeah. Just give it away. And when you're working for money, you're not putting $1,000 on your altar. You're just putting a small representation of some money.
Right.
So but give that away. That's I can't tell you the karma that it will give back to you. Like it really just notches you up. It's good energy to give that. So that's my advice for working with money on your altar.
Well,
can I tell you a funny story though, real quick?
Yes, absolutely.
So in New Orleans, people were doing all kinds of things at Marie Laveau's grave, but one thing they were like bleeding out but they were giving money, and I think we might have talked about this, but somebody stole a bunch of the money and ran off with it.
I would not do that.
Yeah, they got hit by a car and died on the road, and people descended around the area and were picking up the money, and I'm like, vultures! No, they ran back. And they took putting that money back. I'm like, thank you.
Okay, good.
Please don't keep that. Like, that's crazy. But I say it to say, that's a really horrible thing. But I say it to say that when you're giving money and that it's powerful. So just a little side note I wanted to share.
We will keep that in our noggin. We will keep that. Don't do that. That sounds like a very bad.
Don't do that.
Bad idea.
Don't take the flowers. Don't take just don't take it.
Well, let's close by saying one thing I would like to say is don't overthink your altar. It doesn't have to be according to, maybe there are some altars that are according to a specific design. I'm sure that's the case. But if the altar that you are dedicating to your connection to spirit, your connection to God or a saint or whatever it is that you're doing, just be inspired, have that intention, make sure it's clean, make sure you smudge it, and then create it in a way that feels intuitive and really good for you. And if it feels good for you, that means it's high vibration, and that means your altar is calibrated exactly as you want it. But yeah, use things like color and fabric and candles and crystals and artwork and statues and all of the things that inspire you, like that are evocative of a spiritual feeling. That is your vibration. That's frequency. Put it on the altar, and also think about how you're laying it out. Like what's in the north corner, what's in the south corner, east and west, and what represents these things. Just be thoughtful, and spirit will honor that.
Absolutely. Altars are personal.
Yes.
It's, you don't want to do your setup like mine or like Crystal's. They work for us. So yours will work for you when you set it up with thoughtfulness and intention and love.
And so it is.
So it is.